What do you got there, Julia?
Roger.
Hey, what do you got there?
Got some mail.
Oh, why don't you go ahead and read it?
If you insist. My Uncle Roger got some letters, and so I'm going to read them and he'll answer them.
Oh, wait, who are you?
Oh, I'm Julia Wright.
And how old are you now, Julia?
I'm 17.
All right.
Did you have a strict workout regimen where you did special exercises, or did you run around your block? That question's from Jack.
Okay, great question, Jack. So, when I decided to run the Boston Marathon, I had absolutely no idea how to train. I called my friend Rick, who I knew was a triathlete, and he eventually he became my trainer. But he said the first thing to do is find a 3-mile loop. Run from your house 1.5 miles and then run back. So I did literally walk, went down the driveway in my car and measured out 1.5 miles away, and was shocked at how far a mile was, let alone 1.5 miles. So I ended up doing it, and then the next day I walked it for the first time. And it took me about 1 hour and 20 minutes to walk that 3 miles or 5K essentially. When I came back, I was all sweaty and exhausted. But each day I kept it up. And after a week, my friend Rick came out and we walked the 2.5 miles. We were 1/2 mile from the house, and he said, "Now I want you to run." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, you're running the Boston Marathon."
Which is more important to succeed, discipline or motivation? From Sophie.
Okay, Sophie, so I think that any goal that you set, you first have to be motivated to do it. I mean, I had been on literally hundreds of diets, probably thousands. I tried to lose weight my entire life. And I always thought each time I was really motivated to do it. But this time I said I had 3 things that were really pushing me. One was, I was morbidly obese. I needed to lose weight or I was going to die. That was important. And then I also had a goal of running the Boston Marathon. And then in addition to raise money for cystic fibrosis for my niece Julia. And so that was a big, big goal, and I kind of focused on that for the first time in my life, instead of looking at a diet and saying, okay, well, a diet will just be a temporary thing. If I lose 20 pounds, great, I do it, then I would go back to start eating again. So the motivation is a key component, but also you have to have discipline. I have receive emails from people from all over the world asking for my help, and I start training them to run a marathon. I had 3 people in Dublin that I had corresponded with to train, and sadly about 80% of them fall out. It's crazy. Probably even higher. It's probably like 90% of these people who have good intentions seem to be motivated, but then they don't have the discipline to stay with it. I think you have to have something that really motivates you, and then that will help you keep the discipline. And that's what I did every day when I went to work out. I focused, I'm going to be running the Boston Marathon. I'm going to be running the Boston Marathon. And that's, I think, why I succeeded.
How long did you think it would take to achieve your goal? From Andrew.
I think I knew right when I started, I knew that I was going to be able to finish the Boston Marathon. I had to. But I was just going to run, walk, or crawl across the finish line. But as I got stronger and lost more weight, then I realized that I'm not just going to finish the Boston Marathon, I'm going to run the Boston Marathon. And so that's what I did. I trained really, really hard to make myself stronger so that I could finish in a respectable, with a respectable time.
What advice would you give to a person who is trying to achieve a goal, perhaps a third-year student? From Laura.
So I kind of answered this with Sophie's question, is that you have to focus on something. You have to be motivated and then focus on that goal. So my motivation was running the Boston Marathon, raising money for cystic fibrosis, getting myself healthy. In the past, I had had goals of losing weight every week. I mean, it was a running joke in college with my friends, always on another diet, hundreds of diets. But I wasn't really motivated. And when I told myself, okay, I'm going to run the Boston Marathon, I put it out there. And then I made myself accountable. And I told as many people as I could about it. And that's why it worked. I focused on a specific goal of running the Boston Marathon.
What was the biggest reason for your transition, health, appearance, etc.? From Greg.
So it was an obligation to my wife, Mary. It was an obligation to my friend Rick, who never would take $1 to train me. He would come out once a week. He'd drive an hour, come out and train me. And I promised him a commitment, and that I would run and train and cross the finish line of the Boston Marathon. So it was a commitment to Rick. And then obviously I needed to do what I could to show my love for my niece Julia, to help raise money for cystic fibrosis and do what I can for the entire cystic fibrosis community. On top of that, I had friends that I had told, and I had a fear that they were watching me, and if I failed, then I would lose their respect. And then I guess as a part of me that was also inside, I was tired of being morbidly obese, breaking chairs when I sat in them, not fitting into airline seats without an extension. There were all kinds of reasons for me to lose the weight, but I think with the obligation that I had to Rick, Julia, and Mary, and also my dad was concerned about my weight, and so yeah, I think those all came together to help me to do the transition.
At any point during your journey, did you think about giving up, and why? From Alan.
I'd like to say yes, but I don't ever remember saying I'm not going to do this. I mean, there were times when I was running and working out and my body was screaming and I was in seriously really bad pain and everything, but I don't know, I just had that goal of running the marathon, and so I just said I couldn't let anyone down. So no, I don't think, unlike diets that would literally give up on 2 or 3 days of being on them, for this thing I said no, I'm never giving up. And I don't think I ever did. I never thought about quitting, which doesn't make sense to me right now, but that's really is the case. I really never thought about giving up. It's a good question.
Your video was super inspiring and quite motivational, but I wanted to ask, did you have difficulty staying motivated some days, and how do you work around those days?
Thanks for the comment on the video. You know, I'm kind of embarrassed about the title. Like, this guy, I don't know if you know the story, but I had called it My Journey to the Boston Marathon, and a year and a half later, I posted it on one car forum. I had this little sports car, and a year and a half later, this guy said, "Do you mind if I repost and rename that video?" I said, "Yeah, I don't care, that's fine." And so he called it the most inspiring video you will ever watch. And that's really, really embarrassing for me. I'm not a braggart. I try to be somewhat humble, I suppose, but yeah. So it was kind of funny that he called it the most inspiring video, and I prefer calling it my running for my existence, my journey to the Boston Marathon. But when I was making it, I always there was always filming myself, and I always said, oh, when they do the next shot, I've got to look stronger and I got to look faster, and so I would. Making the video actually did help me, keep me motivated. All along I said, oh, he's going to get another shot. And So it was kind of, I said, I can't let this video down, because I knew from the very beginning I was going to make this video. My whole idea was I'm going to make this video and I'm going to send it to friends to raise money for cystic fibrosis. And that's what I did. But so when I was doing it, I said, I've got to keep on losing weight. I got to keep on getting stronger, and I got to do all this other stuff to make it so that people will like the video. And so that also, yeah, that did help motivate me to keep up and not give up.
Congrats on achieving your goal. You did amazing. I was wondering, what did you find was your biggest obstacle while losing weight, and what was your main source of inspiration? From Hannah.
Okay, so yeah, there were all kinds of roadblocks that I ran into. Probably the biggest one was, here I was almost 300 pounds, and I had to strip down to my bathing suit and get into a pool, and I hadn't swam in 30 years. Ironically, I used to be on the swim team when I was in high school, and I was fat then too. And it was kind of a running joke that I would always be asked to be put in the first lane, and then when people would be sitting right by the first lane watching the swim meet go on, and then I'd jump in and just splash everyone in the audience, which was kind of funny, and I got a lot of laughs out of that, personally, and splashing people. That was my motivation for then. But now I was 300 pounds 30 years later, and it was really, really embarrassing taking my shirt off and getting in a pool in front of other people. And I would kind of like take it off and then kind of run and jump in the pool so no one would see me. I'd go there when there weren't other people there. That was a huge roadblock. Another one was just going outside and running. I assumed that people were looking at me and just laughing. Oh, look at that fat guy go. Oh, he's not really going. So that was kind of, that was embarrassing. And so the food was, ironically, the thing that got me so fat, so morbidly obese, was really not that hard. I just started keeping track of everything and learned how to eat foods that were actually healthy for you.
Congrats on achieving your goal. You're an inspiration to all. One question I have is, what was the hardest part of achieving your goal? From Ross.
I kind of touched on the roadblock question, but you know, here's something else. I had to find a goal. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy finding a goal that would change my life. So I think that was probably the hardest part for being morbidly obese my whole life, was finding an actual goal that would change my life. I did try, by the way, to get in this show called The Biggest Loser. I don't know if you have it there in Ireland, or if you've seen it. But I tried to get on there. That was a goal of mine, but it wasn't a realistic goal.
How do you feel now that you have accomplished your goals? Congratulations on losing so much weight and running the Boston Marathon. You are truly an inspiration.
Okay, so I accomplished that first goal of running the Boston Marathon, and I thought that that was it, that I wasn't going to run any more marathons. And then a friend called me and he said, yeah, I want to run the 2010 Boston Marathon with you. And I said, no, I'm pretty much one and done. And he said, come on. He goes, I'll raise money for cystic fibrosis. I said, okay, that's fine. And so, thank God he did that, because otherwise I would have put the weight back on. So I set a goal of running the marathon, and then another friend called me and said, yeah, we're running a race in Cape Cod, marathon there. Do you want to run it with us? It's in October. I said, okay. And then I kept on... So I kept on running marathons, like all over the place. People would reach out to me, and I'd say, okay, yeah, I'll run a race with you, I suppose. And so my new goal is to help other people lose weight. That's a really important thing in my life right now. But also, just for myself personally, I want to try to get faster and faster. I'm looking over at all my marathon medals. I have... Here, hold on. Ready for this? So these are... and there's more over there. So I ended up kind of going crazy, trying to get faster and faster, and so I tried to get faster and faster, And those were my goals. So now my goals are no longer about running my first marathon, but to keep on running marathons and hopefully to inspire other people that you can change. So now I've run like 52 marathons and all these other different races. And that's my new goal, is just to keep on running. I've got a race in another marathon in about a month or so that I'm running down a mountain. Hopefully I then run faster than I've ever run a marathon before and get what's called a PR. So yeah, it's always just trying to improve upon myself.
What kept you motivated the most throughout the whole thing, from Jack? Plus, if you support a soccer team, who?
Okay, so we were talking about what motivated me was my obligation, my commitment to other people, and then also to myself and to my dad, and then also for my for my health, and then making myself stronger and faster. You're asking about soccer. Okay, so you're gonna hate this, but I don't watch soccer, but I was gonna fake it and say that I asked my friend who's a huge soccer fanatic. He teaches soccer actually, and he said, whatever you do, don't say you like Manchester United. I can't stand Manchester United. He said, oh, Liverpool, say Liverpool, because here in Boston we have the Red Sox, which is a baseball team, and not cricket, and so John Henry, the owner, also owns, I believe, the Liverpool team. So he said, tell him though that you like Liverpool. I wish I could say I love soccer. I've never played it. Sorry. I never played football really. Well, I did a little bit, but the other football. But anyways, I was gonna lie. I was trying to come up with something about the soccer, but I don't know much. No, I don't follow. To answer your question, Jack, I don't follow soccer, unfortunately. Sorry.
What was harder, the beginning or the end? Okay. You can just cut that?
Yeah, we'll edit it right out. That's an interesting question. What was hard at the beginning or the end? I'll tell you a good little story. So I promised Rick that I would walk 3 miles every day for a week, and if I did, Rick would come out. So on the first day I did it. I went out and I walked 3 miles, and I came back. Well, the next day it was raining, and I had my shoes on, my shorts. I work out of my house, and so I was sitting right here. I put my shoes on, and outside it was raining, and so I thought, oh crap! I don't want to go out and walk in the rain. I'll get all wet and I could melt. And so I didn't want to go out. So I started to take my shoes off, justifying it, saying, well, you know what, if I just miss one day, just the second day, then that'll be okay, because I can make it up the next day. But I would never make it up. And as I took my shoes off, all of a sudden I heard Rick's voice say, I don't need any money, I just want 100% commitment. And I felt this sick feeling in my stomach, and I said, oh, I promised him that I would do everything I can. And so I put my shoes back on, and I went out and I walked those 3 miles. And I came back, and I was completely soaked. But as bad as I thought it would be, it was just the opposite. It was frigging fantastic. When I came back soaked, I was so proud of myself, because I had stuck to it. And that was like the first thing I remember saying, okay, maybe I can make it. And right at the very beginning. So the beginning was kind of hard. The other part is the end. Whenever I run a marathon, I kind of get disappointed until I run my next marathon. But fortunately, I keep them coming, and I have them all throughout the year. So there's never, you know what? There's never really an end to my running marathons.
Did you ever feel like you'd never accomplished your goal during those 9 months?
So, I mentioned that I really didn't. I guess with the exception of like that second day when it was raining, I always thought they would accomplish my goal. But one thing I did that really held me accountable too was just to make sure that I met my goal, because I'm I don't want people to make fun of me. And so, oh, he's training for the Boston Marathon, yet he's gained weight. So what I did was on June 7th, I picked a picture in front of the front door. You've seen it. It was in the video. And then every 7th of the month, I would then wear the same outfit and take another picture in front of the front door. And then I posted on the world's worst website, my website, and I would then put my weight. And so I would make sure that I had lost weight because I figured that people were looking at it would see. And if I gained weight, then they would lose faith in me. So I couldn't let them down. Couldn't let my friends down. Both of them. So I would put my weight each week, and Mary would come up, and I'd stand on the scale, and she would verify the weight, and then I'd take a picture outside and post my weight. And so each month I did that. In all 10 months, I lost weight. The last month I lost a half a pound, but I did everything I could to not lose weight. So that kept me going, and that kind of, so I wouldn't fail, so I couldn't give up.
How do you stay motivated? How do you decide on what goals to set? What do you do if you don't feel motivated? What are your current goals? Do you have a reward system for if you exercise? And if so, how do you reward yourself?
So many questions. So it all goes back to goals. Interesting. So what do I do to reward myself? When I was a kid, you have Cadbury there probably, and here we have this thing called a Mallow Cup. I don't have one around here, but anyway, it's a chocolate bar. And as a kid, I used to steal money from my dad and go down and buy these Mallow Cups. They were like coconut and marshmallow inside of a chocolate, like a Reese's peanut butter cup, but with marshmallow. So I blame those for being fat, and I actually called the company after I lost the weight and said, by the way, I just want to let you know I blame you for me being morbidly obese, which was... It was a really, really funny conversation that actually ended up working out great because they sent me a bunch of Mallow Cups. So anyway, I reward myself with a Mallow Cup after every race. And the reason I do it is because I want to show people that, hey, you can have the things that made you fat. You can still eat them. You don't have to deprive yourself of things. And so I use that as reward. So every single marathon, half marathon, even a 10K, I will eat a Mallow Cup after the race. Other things I do is I get a Chinese buffet. I usually will get a Chinese buffet as long as it's within 1 week of the marathon. If I don't have the Chinese buffet within a week, then I don't get the Chinese buffet. And Chinese buffet is get as much Chinese food as you want to eat. And I pretty much give myself, after running a marathon, I do get kind of a week where I take it easy. I don't run as much, and I kind of eat what I want. And then one of the questions, what keeps me motivated, is I always have another race coming up, so I'm always training for it. So I say, okay, fine, I'll give myself a week, but then I have to get back on the straight and narrow, and that's what I do. So that's how I keep myself motivated for more race. I have more races, always more races, and so that pretty much does it. Okay, so that's it for the questions. Hopefully I answered all of them, and you enjoyed it. But I really want to thank Julia for her asking the questions. You ask about goals. Okay, Julia's now 17 years old. She's a senior in high school. I don't know if you have I think she's 12th year of school. And last year she was in the hospital for 17 days. 17 weeks. Now, just by chance, there's a deck of cards has 52 cards. It's 52 weeks in a year. How did that happen? In any event, she spent 17 weeks in the hospital last year, in 2016. So, okay, 17 weeks. Each card represents 7 days. Yesterday, she went for a second interview at Harvard, because she graduated at the top of her class. Even though she missed 17 weeks of being in the hospital and missing a ton of school, she still kept up her studies. She was sick. She has 2 hours of therapy every day. And yet she still was able to accomplish the goal of running to Harvard. And she's a Queen of Hearts. So, you know, if you have a goal, go for it. If you don't, you're going to regret it. It took me 47 years to finally grasp a goal. People ask me, what's the biggest thing? What's my biggest regret? My biggest regret was not losing the weight. Putting the weight on to start with, but not losing the weight until I was 47 years old because I missed out on a bunch of things. So, set your goals and go for them. Like I said, Julia had a goal when she was 10 years old to go to Harvard, and she has all but gotten accepted. I have no doubt that she will be accepted. So that's my final word, is that accomplish a goal and go for it, and don't let anything get in your way, because anything truly is possible. Thanks a lot, and have a nice day.